Housekeeper Levitt's daughter Lavinia stays at my place every weekend during school breaks. Out of respect for her mother's years of service to my family, I never said anything. Until one day I came home to find the door code had been changed, with a note stuck on the door. Freeloaders who mooch off other people's homes are forbidden entry. I tore down the note and knocked on the door, asking Levitt, "What's this about?" Lavinia sat on the sofa with her legs crossed, saying, "Can't you read? Living in my house every day? Have you no shame? If you have nowhere to live, go sleep on the streets. I hate freeloaders like you the most." I looked at her in confusion. Levitt immediately came forward to explain in a low voice, "Miss Alice, I'm sorry. My daughter doesn't know I'm a housekeeper. She's been spoiled and doesn't like living with outsiders. By the way, don't you have another house in the suburbs? When my daughter comes to stay on weekends, you can go live in the suburban house." With that, Levitt shut the door right in my face. Standing outside, I calmly dialed the police. "Hello, someone has illegally entered and occupied my house. Please come as soon as possible." I never imagined that as the daughter of the wealthiest person in the city, I would be called a freeloader to my face. The key point being, this villa was mine. 20 minutes after calling the police, a patrol car pulled up in front of my villa. The two officers had just gotten out and hadn't even asked about the illegal entry situation when Levitt frantically opened the door. She rushed over to me, her face pale. "Miss Alice, what's going on? Why did you call the police?" I glanced at her without speaking. The officer looked her up and down and asked, "Are you the person Miss Alice mentioned? The one who illegally entered and occupied her house?" Hearing this, Levitt panicked instantly. No, officers, this is all a misunderstanding. I'm Miss Alice's housekeeper, responsible for taking care of her daily needs. My daughter's school is on break, so she came to stay for a couple days. The door lock just broke, and when we had someone fix it, they changed the code. There's no occupation of the house." She pointed at the villa door and smiled apologetically. "Look, I opened the door right away, didn't I?" The officer looked at me, then at her, and asked, "Miss Alice, do you still want to pursue this?" I was about to speak when Levitt suddenly lowered her voice, pleading humbly in my ear. "Miss Alice, Lavinia's father died young. I've raised her alone. It hasn't been easy. She just started college when vanity is strongest, and having lacked affection since childhood, her personality is a bit extreme. If she finds out I'm just a housekeeper, she definitely won't be able to accept it. I did this just to make her feel better. Please, for the sake of the 12 years I've served your parents, forgive me this once." Hearing Levitt mention my parents, my heart did soften a bit. Levitt had been with my family for 12 years. My mother's health was poor before she died, and Levitt was the one who personally cared for her, serving tea, attending to every detail. The day my mother passed, Levitt cried harder than anyone, kneeling by the hospital bed, holding my mother's hand, saying she would definitely take care of me. After that, she did exactly that. After my mother died, she kept the house in perfect order and looked after me like her own daughter. Whenever I tried to give her tips in the past, she would always decline repeatedly before accepting. 3 months ago, her daughter Lavinia got into the same university as me. Levitt was both happy and worried. She was glad Lavinia was doing well, but stressed that university tuition was too expensive for her to afford. Understanding how hard it was for her to raise a child alone, I offered to cover Lavinia's 4 years of university tuition. Levitt was so moved she cried. She clutched my hand, thanking me over and over, saying she would definitely repay my kindness. But starting last month, things changed. That day I came home and suddenly saw Lavinia at my house. I looked confused, but Levitt pulled me aside to quietly explain, "Miss Alice, Lavinia has nowhere to go on weekends during break. I haven't seen her in so long, so I let her stay for a couple days." I nodded without saying anything. The house had plenty of rooms anyway. Letting the mother and daughter reunite wasn't a big deal. But later, I gradually noticed something was wrong. The so-called couple days turned into a fixed arrangement every single weekend. Every Friday night, Lavinia would show up at my house right on schedule and only leave Monday morning. At first, Lavinia just liked taking photos in the living room and posting on Twitter to show off to her classmates that she lived in a big house. I could understand that. Everyone wants to look glamorous in front of others. But what I couldn't understand was how Lavinia always looked at me with disgust and disdain, as if I owed her millions. Several times when I was sitting on the sofa watching TV, she deliberately covered her nose and complained loudly, "So annoying. How can such a luxurious villa have this constant stench of poverty?"